lived my dreams. And when you think that only 4 or 5 years before I was still at school. So it was just unbelievable. And then, of course, the summer holidays happened, and then we had the same thing happen again, all within a couple of years. So that was, I could never imagine that could ever happen again, and it didn't ever happen again quite like that. Mm-hmm. But in the 70s, having settled into a career where I still had hits constantly, still had number ones, suddenly there was the I'm Nearly Famous album,
right.
and that led to The Devil Woman, of course, Miss Unites, We Don't Talk Anymore, Dreaming, A Little in Love. It led to another whole interest in my art form, and so that was another highlight for me. But it's really hard to pick on highlights. You know, every single number one is a highlight. Any artist will tell you that. No matter what happens, you may have a song that you prefer. I mean, look, there's been Christmas records I've had, like Mistletoe and Wine, which is a very sweet, it's a 3/4, waltz tempo. Anybody can pick up the melody instantly. It's really excruciatingly pop, but fabulous, and great played at Christmas. But I can't compare that as a pop song or as a rock and roll artist to Devil Woman. If you said to me now, a Martian is going to land, or who knows, he might now that we're there. A Martian might come down, and you have to play him something that lets him know what you do. I would play him Devil Woman.
Would you?
Yeah, I would, because to me, it's iconic rock and roll. Fabulous guitar riff, great melody, unbelievable chorus, and it's got a storyline. And I think to myself, that's what I would play him. And I've had bigger hits, of course, but sometimes that's not the point. But I think most of us as artists know that what really counts is being in the charts, and the cream, the cream of everything, the icing on the cake, we say. I don't know if you had that phrase here. Mm-hmm. The icing on the cake is the number ones, regardless of whether they're waltz tempos or out-and-out rock and roll. They're all still the same caliber, number ones.
Well, I recently had a chance to speak with Tony Rivers, the background.
Oh, yeah. Tony did a lot of vocal harmonies and arranged them for me.
And Tony had said, because as you had mentioned earlier, that your career from maybe in the early 70s, while you were still making the charts, it had dipped a little bit. But then came this I'm Nearly Famous in that mid-70s era, and Tony, the way Tony phrased it was, Cliff got the bug. He said, you just got the bug to make commercial rock records again, and you were really into it, and that led to this great series of albums and singles.
He is right, but I got a different bug before that. It wasn't a problem for me. I do remember that period before the 70th period, because I had a whole spiritual rebirth. Life was never bad for me. I never had an unhappy, depressing time. I had success, but there was an eating away, and I thought, this is not quite what I was hoping for. I'm happy, but it's not. And then I had this Christian experience and spiritual experience, and what it did was it took me away in a way. I didn't stop recording, but the interesting is, Tony's right, I lost that bug. I found this other bug that was so eating away at me. I needed to sort that out, and it took me a few years. But what I did was I used to go back into the studios, but the producers would have arranged and produced all the backing track. I would learn the song, go in, spend an hour singing the song, and then go home. So I had no part to play other than as the lead singer. Mm-hmm. And what happened was that Bruce Welch put together an album for me in 1976, and we talked about it, and he's right, Tony's right, I got the bug, because suddenly we were back in the studio creating new things, sitting with Tony Rivers saying, come on, get any ideas. And Tony has a million ideas. We'd go on tour together, and his backing vocal group and me and a couple of members of the band having dinner one night, and after dinner have a drink in the bar, and he'd say, Cliff, sing this note. And he'd say, Joe, you sing, and he'd give us all the notes to sing, and go 3, 4, this whole chord would come out. He is stunning. He's absolutely a unique man. He's one of the few I know that can do vocal harmonies at the drop of a hat. So he's right. I did get the bug, and I got fascinated again by being part of the procedure of making an album.
And that was also the time where you actually kind of started to do at least a little bit of writing again.
I did an album with an Australian producer called Dave Mackay, and I'd been messing around writing something when I was on holiday in Madeira, Portuguese island. And they had fantastic names streets. There was one street called the 30th of April Street. And I started to write something because I thought I wanted to steal the idea completely. I wrote the 31st of February Street, because there is no such date.
Right.
And so I wrote a little bit, but we used that to open the album. And in fact, I think did I call it 31st of February Street?
Yeah, it's the 31st of February Street. Right?
We called the album the 31st of February Street, and I think I wrote 4 of the tracks.
Yeah, there are five of your songs on that album. Yeah.
5, thanks for reminding me. But so I still have the ability to write. But it's sometimes when what can you do? You write a song, and then someone gives you "We Don't Talk Anymore." And you think, oh my God, look, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to record it on tour anymore. So with that being overwhelming, I realized that, okay, I can write, but maybe I was never going to be the one that was going to write #1 songs, except that I wrote with the Shadows. So maybe I could combine with people. Maybe I'm still able to do that. But and again, you can lose the inspiration to do it. And I find myself now so I want to try and slow down, but I'm finding it difficult. So what I'm doing is being more choosy and picky as to what I do.
Yeah.
I give myself much more time to think about life and enjoy life, and then go back on the road, and then perhaps start recording again. So it'll be now almost 2 years before I record the next album after Solicious. It'll be next May that I will probably record the rock and roll album. But life stretches ahead, and there's no. Our industry is like a great big treadmill, and it seems to me that it'll only stop when you get off it. Unless, of course, I have the bad luck of maybe losing my voice or being taken sick or something. If anything happens, I'm in good shape at the moment. I have tests every year for insurance purposes, for tours and stuff, and every organ functions.
Well, you have a big fan base that wants you to go on as long as possible. and before we wrap up, I just did want to ask you if there was any kind of message you'd like to send out or anything you'd want to say to our listeners.
Well, only that I appreciate and always have done what your followers do. But in point of fact, I know it's a two-way street, because people don't follow you unless they actually like what you do. So you have to then do something they're going to like. But nevertheless, I am reliant on how they feel about things, of how they enjoy or do not enjoy what I do. But above even that, I think the loyal support over the years, because in a way fans show you that they haven't quite enjoyed something when it's gone to number 30 in the charts and not to number 1. Okay, that wasn't the one. But they've nevertheless stayed absolutely loyal, and I travel still around the world and go and do TV shows in Germany, and even I don't even do any tours, but I do a show and they're crazy on the floor, and I'm thinking, after all these years, I'm still enamored of the whole idea that people would still enjoy what I do. So I only want to say that to all of you listening, thank you so much. If I can make anything else that you might like, I'll do my best to do it, and then keep my fingers crossed that you like it. And I can only say, in terms of my future, watch this space.
Good. Well, Sir Cliff Richard, it has been a true thrill to be able to speak with you here. Thank you so much for joining us on Wired for Sound Radio.
Jeff, thank you so much, and thanks to all of you for listening. Bye-bye.
Hope you enjoyed our interview with Sir Cliff. We are so glad we had the chance to speak with him and to bring it to you during our final weekend on the air here at Wired for Sound Radio. We'll close out the hour by playing a few of the songs that Cliff spoke to us about during the interview.
Since the day I saw the